we want to spotlight our people, right? We
Mm-hmm.
want to show you who our attorneys are, and why they're great and why you should work with us. So kind of a spin on content creation. So instead of writing a thought leadership article on 5 things you should know if you're wanting to purchase a new business, having our attorney actually sit down, video style, and in 30 seconds or a minute,
Nice.
um, just kind of break it down for you really simple.
Yeah.
And then if you want more information, you can go to the website to read
Yeah.
the little bit of more lengthy article on that.
Welcome to Spill the Ink, a podcast by Reputation Inc., where we feature experts in growth and brand visibility for law firms and architecture, engineering, and construction firms. Now, let's get started with the show.
Hi, and welcome back. I'm Michelle Calcote King. I'm your host, and I'm the principal and president of Reputation Inc. We are a public relations and content marketing agency for B2B professional services firms, including law firms. So to learn more, go to rep-inc, that's inc.com. In today's episode, we're continuing our series of interviewing top marketing leaders of law firms. We're exploring their marketing strategies and approaches. And I'm excited today to welcome Jennifer Gault. She is Strauss Troy's marketing director. Strauss Troy is a full-service corporate law firm. Its attorneys have served clients in Greater Cincinnati and Northern Kentucky region since 1953. Throughout 70 years of service, Strauss Troy has earned many fantastic distinctions from respected organizations like U.S. News and World Report and Best Lawyers in America. So welcome to the show.
Yeah, thank you for having me. Happy to be here.
Yeah, I'm excited to talk to you. So you've got kind of an interesting background. You've kind of done some nonprofit, you've done construction. So tell me a little bit about your path and how you ended up in legal.
Yeah, so in college, I was a mass communication major. So I was really just interested in all things communication and marketing. And then out of college, I landed a job at an international market doing marketing, which was definitely different. And then all of these opportunities have kind of just found me essentially. So there was really no straight path from here to there or whatnot. So for my current position, I was actually referred by a colleague. And after looking at the job description, it kind of seemed a little intimidating. But after reading it and learning more about the firm, I decided to go for it. And I'm really glad that I did because it was the reset and the creative outlet that I needed.
That's great. Yeah, a lot of people don't think that legal marketing can be creative, but it absolutely can be, and it can be really, it can be. I'm biased, obviously, because I do it, but lawyers work on very substantive, impactful things that that impact people in the community, and we get to talk about it and write about it and create things about it. So, absolutely. So tell me about, I kind of obviously looked at your website and you've got 9 practice groups, 46 industries. Tell me about how your team collaborates with, attorneys working across that many different practice groups and industries, to bring together the firm's brand and strategy.
Yeah. So we like to call ourselves strategically mid-sized. So while our attorneys are individual leaders in their different practice areas, there often comes a time where, we have to pull somebody in from a different practice area to kind of really cross collaborate and just give the best possible experience to the client. So we've really been trying to hone in on kind of focusing on that when promoting the brand and different marketing efforts. But yeah, it's very much like a team effort here. You get the Strauss Troy family essentially when you work with us. And it's just great because we have a lot of different expertise that just kind of finds its way in.
Yeah, I noticed that you guys, so it feels like when I look at your website, you're a very local community focused firm. Is that true? Is that a kind of a big part of your ethos of the firm is that, you're a community local firm.
Yeah. So we like to say we work where we live and we live where we work. So really giving back to the community with the work that we do, and then with the different outreach efforts that we have. We're a big sponsor of um, Fountain Square, which is like the city center here in Cincinnati, and um, we do Strauss Troy Market every Tuesday. So it started out as a farmers market like 15 years ago when it started, and obviously it's kind of evolved, but that was kind of a brainchild of several of our attorneys and 3CDC, who's a client that we work with. But we just really want to be where our people are that we live and work with in the community, and I think we do a really good job of that.
That's great. And so, how does your background in nonprofit, and I saw construction, how has that experience benefited you in legal marketing? Do you find that what have you seen have been the differences or the similarities in those industries? And how has that experience impacted you in this role?
Yeah. So I've been lucky to kind of dabble in a lot of different industries, and I think there are a lot of skills that I have that I've learned over the years that are pretty translated across the board. But I think at the end of the day, the concept of marketing is pretty much the same, whether you're selling shoes or legal services. And for me, it's all about the experience for like the potential clients and how you make them feel, because how is your company different and how are you going to convey that in a successful way to land the business or keep the client?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. It's all about focusing on the client, the end user of the product, which your product is your attorneys,
Mhm.
and the service you buy. And if you keep that laser focus on the client, yeah, it is. It is. It comes down to it. It is the same, right? So,
Yeah,
tell me about your team. Are you a solo marketer, or do you have a team? How are you structured?
I am a solo marketer. Yeah. And I've been lucky enough that there have been people that have worked here for a long time who've also done a little bit of marketing. So they've been able to kind of help me and give me some guidance. But I do have like some agencies that we use and work with for certain things. So it's nice to kind of be able to touch base with them and bounce ideas off of them. And I've also really, because this is my first time working in legal in general, so I joined the Legal Marketing Association, and it's been great. I've realized that there are a lot of solo
A
marketers
lot of
out
them.
there.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
Yeah, so we've really been able to connect, and I've actually made some really good friendships with people who are way across the country. So
Yeah.
yes, I've learned to put my multitasking skills to great use, but it's
Yeah.
been good. Yeah.
Shout out to LMA. Yeah, I'm heavily involved in LMA as well. Yeah, the benefits of the Legal Marketing Association are huge. Do you follow? Because I actually follow the special interest group for solo marketers. Yeah, there's a lot of really great information sharing. What I find about LMA is that while technically everyone's a competitor, people are so friendly and willing to share best practices, and they're not giving away proprietary information, but they're
Yeah.
sharing knowledge, and really willing to help others, which is incredibly valuable, especially if you're a
Yeah.
solo marketer.
Right. Absolutely. Yeah. It's like the other lifeline,
Yeah,
essentially. Because like it's great to work with the attorneys, and there are a lot of them that really get marketing, but when you actually are able to talk to people who speak your language, it's
uh-huh,
really refreshing.
100%. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
So tell me about. I have to ask. Like, tell me about. What's happening now. Tell me about the trends maybe that are impacting your work, or maybe what are your priorities this year? What are you focused on?
Yeah. So trends, obviously AI is a big one. Still a little scary, but it's been able to help me streamline things a little bit as far as brainstorming goes and like content creation and just kind of streamlining outlines and things like that.
Yeah.
Video has been a big one, trying to
Mm.
really incorporate that within our strategy.
Oh, cool.
And then obviously social media engagement. But the one thing that we've really been focusing on since the beginning of the year has been brand awareness. And I know that seems like such a broad strategy or perspective, but I mean, it's the foundation for all of your marketing efforts. So we
Absolutely.
wanted to, once I'd been there for a year, I was like, okay, I want to really kind of sit down and figure out like we're great and how can I convey that in a streamlined way that makes sense and is easy for people to digest. So we came up with a tagline that kind of captured our mission and our values. So your solutions start here was born. So
Love
like
that.
I mentioned, being that we're strategically mid-sized, we wanted to hone on the fact that you could use us for a number of your legal needs. And the your solutions part to that tagline is interchangeable, right? So
Yeah.
big plans start here. So what does that mean? Are you starting a new business? Talk to our corporate department.
Right.
Lifelong partnerships start here. Are you looking for, are you a business looking for a partnership? We do a lot of work with accounting firms and we have great relationships with them. And then
Mm-hmm.
new beginnings start here. Are you adopting or so here's our domestic relations department, or maybe it's just you want a new career. We can help you with that and so on. So it's things like that and all the other things that we do in between that help build the trust that is really needed in the legal
Mm-hmm.
industry and professional services industry in general.
Hmm.
So that's kind of my outlook for the year, really
Hmm.
trying to hone in on that and tell our story.
That's interesting. I love that you said, brand awareness is your focus because I think a lot of people don't kind of separate out the different tactics. Am I focusing on lead generation? Am I focusing on brand awareness? What's my key priority here? Do I have a brand awareness challenge or do I have more of a, some other challenge, in that kind of mix? If people don't know who you are, it's going to
Right.
affect everything. So it's going to be
Yeah.
really hard to build relationships. It's going to be really hard to, have the business development meetings that you need to have, all of that without that kind of foundational knowledge of the firm
Yeah.
and what you do and how you do it. So tell me about the video and what you're doing there.
So we are still kind of in the strategy portion
Mm-hmm.
of that, but an idea that I had was we want to spotlight our people, right? We
Mm-hmm.
want to show you who our attorneys are and why they're great and why you should work with us. So kind of a spin on content creation. So instead of writing a thought leadership article on 5 things you should know if you're wanting to purchase a new business, having our attorney actually sit down, video style, and in 30 seconds or a minute,
Nice.
just kind of break it down for you really simple.
Yeah.
And then if you want more information, you can go to the website to read
Yeah.
the little bit of more lengthy article on that.
Love that.
So, yeah.
Yeah. And have you done, I love that because we're really trying to get clients to do that more. Do you have like a little video studio set up? Are you doing it on iPhone? How like tech advanced are you getting? Or are you kind of going, no? Because we do a lot of video. And to be honest, we do some where we do the full like high end, get a big camera crew out, but then we do a lot of just iPhone, especially when it's just your thought leader type video. An iPhone is enough, with the right lighting and a good lapel
Right.
mic. How are you doing that with your attorneys?
The idea was to do the iPhone, maybe get a
Mm-hmm.
tripod,
Yep.
start simple,
Mm-hmm.
kind of work out the kinks. And then as we figure things out and kind of get better, then think about maybe the bigger production.
Yeah, that's smart.
Yeah.
Yeah. I like that. Yeah. Iterate.
Yeah. And iPhones can do so much these days. Like it's crazy.
They really can. I've been interviewed for
Yeah.
television on an iPhone. The
Oh,
reporter
wow.
actually came out with an iPhone. So yeah, it's really wild. So
Yeah.
yeah, that's great. I think that's really really smart. It's hard to get a lot of attorneys to do that, but especially if you can show them how quick and easy it is, I think that's the buy-in that you can get. Or do you find? I know you said you're still in the strategy portion. Have the attorneys been receptive to the idea, or have you not gotten to that step yet?
Yeah, so obviously there are a lot of people, just people in general, don't like their pictures taken
Right.
or being on video, let alone.
Yes.
So there are a few. Our marketing committee is really great, bouncing ideas off of them because it's my job to be the creative one, and then it's their job to kind of analyze what I'm saying and maybe reel me in if it's too
Yeah.
wild. But yeah, so we're still kind of determining that. I mean, there are a few people that I think would be really great at it and probably would do it. So
Yeah, you kind of have to find
yeah,
your coalition of the willing. Yeah, and I think if people aren't comfortable on video, don't force them.
sure. Yeah.
It's like because it's gonna be obvious that they're not comfortable. So yeah, find the people that are and work with them.
Yeah.
Do Do you think you approach things differently than other legal marketers in any particular area? Do you think, oh, hey, I know I do this differently? Um,
Yeah. I mean, I really try to focus on like the storytelling component,
mm,
like no matter what we do. So I mean, whether it's showing who our people are and the right fit for potential clients that, or how the firm gives back to the
hmm
community, um, our paralegals or assistants, if they're involved in other organizations sitting on boards. At the end of the day, I just want people to know, like, obviously, we're a law firm. Sometimes that can be kind of an intimidating or a scary thing for people to grasp. But I just want people to realize that we are people too,
right.
and we care. And so, kind of showing that more human side a lot of the
Humanize.
time.
Yeah. Hmm.
We are still like we're still professionals and experts in what we do, but we also do all of these things too. So I think
Hmm.
that kind of really brings it in for people because I mean we're marketing services and not a product, so it's harder because it's not something tangible. They can't see it or touch it or whatnot. So it requires that extra level of awareness to build a trust and then demonstrate, obviously, the expertise to that we can help you with your legal needs that you have.
Yeah, that's great. Yeah. Yeah. If you can be an effective storyteller, you've really uh, done the hard part of marketing, I would say. And that was my next question. Like, what would you say? I think every marketer has like their thing that they do really well. Like their niche that they're great at. Do you think there's like one area that you would say this is what I particularly know I'm that we do really well? Would you say it's storytelling? Would you say it's is there an area that you say, okay, this is where we kind of we're great at this?
Yeah. Yes, I would say this the storytelling and then also how that translates into like the content, specifically like the social media
Mm,
piece of it. Just trying to put things out there that are compelling and interesting. I mean, it's the 80/20 rule, right? That I think is
mhm,
still valid. So
mhm,
20% of the time you want to put things out there to show people like exactly what you do about your services, but 80% of the time you want or should be talking about all of the other great things that you're doing as well.
mhm.
So
Yeah,
that's
yeah.
kind of what I try to focus on, and just kind of bring that nice mix between yes, we are the professionals and the experts in the practice areas and in the industry, but we can also be a little lighthearted and sharing different things. Like, for example, um, the chair of the marketing committee, he just played in a golf tournament last week and came in second place out of all of the um, golfers. And I thought that was a really cool thing to share because maybe
Yeah.
a lot of people wouldn't know that he was a golfer. So,
Yeah, absolutely.
yeah.
I one of the presentations I went to at the National LMA conference recently was on bios, and the presenters had done this deep dive about had looked at where clients looked the most at the lawyers' bios, and it often was the personal info. And I don't know how they were able to track that, maybe like eye tracking or something. And they took that information and showed the lawyers, look, people are really interested in your personal life, and I think for older lawyers, like people are interested in what you do outside of the office. And I think for older lawyers, they're shocked. I think that is a generational thing. So the firm that was presenting was able to take that back and go, they want to know who you are outside of the office. So they want those stories. And so they use that to kind of get them to kind of share a little bit about their personal lives. And I thought that was pretty interesting. And we use that to kind of go to our clients and go, because there are the older attorneys that are like, why would I ever tell anyone that,
Yeah.
and share that. So yeah. And social media is a great place to do that, to give that little bit of slice of who these people are, not just in suits and ties.
Right. Yeah, and we are actually in the process of redesigning our website, and I'm really excited for it to be done, which hopefully it'll be soon. But that's one thing that we're also looking at is those pages because, like, from our SEO reports that we've been getting from our agency, one of our most visited pages are our different attorneys pages. So I think
Oh yeah.
that kind of stands true for probably all law firms. So people will want to know who you are when they are looking for potential lawyers to hire. So that just
Yeah.
makes sense to maybe include that information.
So a website project, that's huge. So
hmm
do you have a go live a target date?
I would have loved for it to have been done already. And I actually had never really been through a web redesign process. So I knew that it would take a little longer, but that's okay. We didn't really have a
They're
specific
always
hard
huge.
deadline. Yeah.
Yeah.
But it's definitely going to be a nice, refreshing feel, kind of based off of that your solutions start here tagline. So kind of from our website now, which is more corporate and traditional looking to
Yeah.
something that's more innovative and new and or human, I guess you could say. So
Yeah. No, I hear
yeah,
you. My own agency's website is 10 years old. So, and we've been
yeah,
meaning
ours
to,
was probably that old too. So
yeah. Yeah. And they
yeah.
say that really you should update I hear every 4 to 5 years. So
hmm
is how quickly, web technology, gets out of date. But yeah, they're just huge, huge projects, and they always take longer than you think they're going to take. So, kudos to you for getting through
Yeah.
that.
Yeah, I was really happy that the board and everyone approved it. Being that I had only been here for less than a year when I had proposed that we should do it.
Good for
Um,
you.
so I think that just kind of speaks to the fact that they really are trusting me with kind of guiding us in the right direction, which I really appreciate that.
Yeah,
So
that's
yeah.
huge. Really huge. So let's talk about the community engagement and so how. Well, tell me a little bit. You told me about the market on the square and the make it. So you obviously have firm wide initiatives. How do you balance the firm wide initiative and then also the attorney initiatives? Because I actually saw on the page, which I thought was kind of cool, you had like the firm wide stuff, and then you have like individual attorney stuff, which I thought was a good way of balancing that. Because I often hear marketers talk about like, how do I, every attorney's got their like pet thing.
Mhm.
I thought that was pretty cool. So tell me a little bit about that.
Yeah. So there is a committee here at Strauss Troy called the Make a Difference team. And gosh, they've been, I think, doing this for like 25 years. I don't exactly know the whole story behind it, but obviously people were passionate and wanted to get together, and it's made up of attorneys and legal assistants and staff people. Um, so I think that everyone just kind of puts their ideas together, and we kind of see what fits and what makes sense for the time that things are happening, and kind of go forward with that. And I sit in on the MAD committee. So I bring like the marketing perspective that they need help with when it comes to promoting everything or working with the different organizations. So that's how kind of the firm wide things work. And then the individual, I try to keep a very streamlined spreadsheet because there are so many attorneys that do so many different things. And some want more exposure for things and some don't. So I just kind of try to balance and kind of just make sure that the line of communication is open, so that I always know what's going on. So if I see or hear something on social media, I'm not thinking like, oh, I didn't know we were doing this. I wish I would have. So
Right.
it's kind of just the balance of everything and just making sure we're all communicating with each other. So
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah.
No, that's great. And do you feel like the like the market on the square and that MAD team has made a real impact, not just on the community, but on the firm and its well, I guess, it's business development. Do you see a direct link to that?
Yeah, I think we do. I mean, it's allowed us to engage with current clients or potential clients on a personal level, which has turned into
Yeah.
referral sources or maybe just listening to
Yeah.
feedback and understanding needs. I always think it's cool when people come in and they're like, "Oh yeah, I saw your blue umbrellas on the square," because we
Uh,
have, as part of our partnership and sponsorship, we have there's probably like 20 umbrellas because there's tables set up around the square, and they have lunch food trucks that come like every day of the week, or you can just grab something from a local business that's there on the square. But everyone always knows our bright blue umbrellas, and I
oh,
just love
cool.
that. And I think it's so
Yeah.
funny.
It's always interesting when I've done things, and it's always interesting the things that stick in people's heads.
Hmm.
There's things that sometimes you wouldn't realize are going to be the things that people notice.
Yeah.
So that's cool. I love that.
Yeah. And I love that too because they, so Fountain Square is the city center, and they do different events like every night of the week. Like there's salsa dancing, I think on Thursdays, and then they have jazz or trivia. And all of the photos they post, it's always the Strauss Troy blue
Mm,
umbrellas in the background, and I just love that. Obviously, as a
perfect.
marketer, you're like, yes,
Yeah.
we love
Yeah.
that.
Yeah. Who's focused on brand awareness. So yeah,
Yeah.
100%. Love that.
So yeah.
The last thing I want to ask about is, social media. I see you do a lot of legal updates on there. And of course, you're cross posting to your news page. Tell me about making sure your target audience gets the most value from those. Tell me about your process with that.
Yeah. So obviously, being that we have so many different practice areas, we have different target audiences, which makes it a little more challenging. But I mean, when posting on social media, literally everyone has social media. So I think we do a good job of reaching everyone. But I think, like I mentioned earlier, just making sure things are concise and streamlined and just bits of information that are easily able to be
Yeah.
digested by people, um, that aren't too filled with legal jargon that they might not understand. So when I
Yeah.
work with attorneys, I try to help them keep that in mind too, that they're writing to um, people who might not necessarily be well versed in the whole
Mm-hmm.
legal industry or process. Um, so that's kind of how we figure out to target the correct people. And then as far as the posting on social media goes, just taking advantage of insights from analytics to be posting at the right times, which is really helpful, instead of just a shot in the dark, just
Yeah.
looking back at past posts and seeing what posts have gotten the most engagement and trying to just stay in line with doing that. So.
Yeah. I always find it's not even just that you're reaching people that aren't lawyers, but even lawyers don't want to read legalese. It's like we're all just so busy and we're moving so fast. Even for lawyers, it's difficult to read legalese. They forget, like I think they've done studies of judges that will pick the plain language written version every time, because we all want to read something that's simple and easy and quick to understand. So that's I often say that to clients. Anyways, well, I always like to ask if there's one final thought you like to leave listeners with that you can take from, your career.
That's a good one.
I know it's always a big one.
I guess I would say don't underestimate yourself.
Good one.
Because like I said, I've been in different industries. And I mean, if you just kind of focus on the things that you do well, I think it pretty much translates across any industry or any job. And when I was reading about the job description, when I was thinking about applying for this position, I was a little overwhelmed, but just be confident and don't underestimate yourself and just kind of jump in, and I think everything will be fine. So.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah.
So true. And honestly, everyone can use that advice. So that's a great point to leave us with. So we have been talking to Jennifer Gault of Strauss Troy. So if people wanted to get in touch and talk to you more, what would be the best way for them to connect?
Yeah, definitely connect with me on LinkedIn, or you can send me an email as well.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you. It's been great. I really appreciate it.
Thanks for listening to Spill the Ink, a podcast by Reputation Inc. We'll see you again next time, and be sure to click subscribe to get future episodes.